This is Ramsey Middle School, and they decided that they wanted to do a stone carving project with their after-school kids. They decided back in the fall of last year they wanted to do this, so we started working with them. We also worked through Kentucky Museum of Art and Craft on this particular project.
We have a variety of things. If you can imagine working in this for 20 years, you've developed a lot of different kinds of things you can do. But because it was a new school, and they thought they'd like some kind of a marker out front, not that it doesn't have the name of the school on it, but they want something with the kids' thumbprint on it that says, this is mine, this is this. And when with the kids, we say, this is your gift to the school. So you're going to leave this here, and if you come back 20 years from now, that thing's going to be there. And so that's what they decided they wanted. So they did some sketches, and that was all in art class. The teacher would work with them, and they'd do sketches, and then they end up getting the sketches to us. When we bring it in, a lot of times we have this mosaic all kind of cut in the background, which are break points. And a lot of times people say, oh, I like it just like it is, don't change it. And our response is, well, it's ours until you take the background out. When you take the background pieces out, it becomes yours because you've done the work.
And as you see in this stone right behind me, they've taken away the background on this side of it in order to allow their pictures to come through. In doing that, they've done two things. They've allowed themselves to carve stone, learn how to carve stone, and then they've had a chance to take a piece of a keepsake that they'll be able to take home with them. They make that into a necklace or something else, maybe a keychain, something that they can keep forever. And many times we'll have a child that we maybe even worked with at kindergarten will come up to us in college and say, do you remember me? I still have that stone. And that's kind of cool to think that they still have that, and it was that important to them when we worked at their school. My husband and I, several years ago, back in '85, were asked to come into the school and show the kids what we did, because our sons were both in elementary school, and at that point we came in, show what Mom and Pop do, and that was stone carving. So we decided that we enjoyed it so much working with the children and helping them to grow through the stone carving that we just kind of refined it over the years. When my husband retired in the early 2000s, we decided, well, we would make this a full-time job. So he's been stone carving, and then I was more on the design end of it. I had a business where I designed window treatments and was a seamstress, and also I worked with children. I was a youth minister. So the idea was kind of to pair what I did working with children and pair what he did with the stone carving.
I tell people that I'm as proud of this program as I am any of the sculptures I've ever done, because it's like a living sculpture. You're working with moving targets, with real people, and that's what she brings to it, is her organizational skill. People ask me, will come up and say, what time we're going to do this and such. I said, when she tells me we're going to do it, then she just points me in the right direction, and that's what I do. And that's a really freeing thing for me, because I know she's got that part, and by the other token, she knows I've got this part. I've got the logistics of having the stuff I need to install the piece or create the stone I need to create the piece. So it's definitely a division of labor. It's one of those kind of divisions that comes with age and knowing each other and knowing whose strengths are which. And if I start trying to do her end of it, invariably it gets all messed up. So we're a good team that way, I think.
I think stone carving is a passion for us. We hope that in introducing them to stone carving that they find something that is their passion. It doesn't have to be stone carving. It could be another form of art, maybe drawing or painting or clay modeling, or it may even be that math or reading becomes their passion. Art is a wonderful form for children to realize that the world is not just about academics, or it's not just about sports. There are other areas, and when they're growing and trying other things that they maybe have never tried before, they're getting a chance to experience something that maybe is their passion. Many times you have students that are having difficulty in school academically, and they get so frustrated, and they feel like they can't do anything right, and they're just feel like failures in many ways. But when they've started this and they have succeeded, and their other classmates who are really good in academics are having difficulties with it, but they are succeeding, they're thinking, wow, look at me, I can do this, you know. So we often hear back from the parents, you know, my son didn't do well in school at all, and he was so disappointed, and yet when he picks up this hammer and chisel, he just feels like he's a king. He can do this. And can we perhaps have a piece of stone and a hammer and chisel to take home with us so that he can continue on in this venue? We often get that from teachers. They'll say that the students that they thought were the biggest problems and had the biggest difficulties in school for them will be the very ones who will accelerate here and do wonderfully and behave so beautifully in school. So we get a lot of positive comments from it, and that's why we continue doing it.
We're kind of like parents in that way to all these kids, because on the way home from our workshops, we'll always say, well, okay, now who's your favorite? And what did so-and-so say? Or like yesterday, I had a guy who was one of the last ones through, and he like took forever to go through, and he was doing other thing else, and Penny had to kind of insist that he break line and go on and get his piece. And he was doing something for his grandfather, who was he said he was a citizen police, and he was doing a little badge, and he instructed me so on how to do that bottom, and it needs to be a little bit more curved off of there. And then he said, you know, something's really strange. He said they call them the boys in blue, and you know, that's his favorite color is blue. Don't you think that's odd? And just to him, because you're just sitting around working, you're not really saying, okay, we're going to do art. You're just working. And they just start talking about all sorts of stuff. And some of it's, you know, I had one kid say, oh, I love how fearless you are with your tools. You know, and just, that's not something a person just walks up and tells you, but they're free to talk like that because it's a welcome environment and it's new to everybody. And I've had people, one kid say, you know, I'm going to have to change my idea about what I'm going to be now. He said, this is just this, and I'm talking about kids that are this tall, and he's like, this is coming out of his mouth, you know. I'm going to have to change my idea of what I think I want to be because now I've seen this. You know, if they find something they truly love, it will carry them through a lot of rough spots. If they have that spark of saying, okay, I may not be the best at this, but boy, I sure can do this thing, you know. And it might be stone carving, it might be something else. I always like to think that if they find some success here, then they convince themselves, I can be successful over there. It's just, I think everybody has something out there that's their passion. I just happen to be lucky enough to find mine.